All right, you're welcome back from that short break. But Kingsley is here with me this morning, and together we'll be taking a look at the interesting sporting stories for you this morning. Kingsley, good morning and welcome to Sport Talk.
Yeah, Mike, thank you very much for having me this morning. Nice to be here.
Nice to be here. Let's get off from the world of Commonwealth game, because Ahmedabad, that is far away now, Ahmedabad, India, has been recommended as a host city for the 2030 Centenary Commonwealth Games, defeating Abuja, Nigeria, after a highly competitive bidding process. The Commonwealth Sport Executive Board praised both nations for their inspiring proposals, but described India's bid as a landmark moment, marking 100 years since the first game in 1930. India's proposal emphasized innovation, sustainability, and inclusivity, and will make Ahmedabad the first Indian city to host the game since New Delhi in 2010. The decision awaits final ratification by Commonwealth Sport General Assembly in Glasgow on November 26, 2025. Meanwhile, Nigeria's Abuja bid received a commendation for its ambition and unity with officials, hinting that Nigeria could be considered to host the 2034 Games. Nigeria's Sport Minister, Shehu Diko, expressed pride in the country's effort and reaffirmed its commitment to hosting future continental and Commonwealth sporting events. Commonwealth sport leaders described the 2030 Games as a strategic milestone to celebrate the century of the movement and set a new direction for its future. Kingsley, shortly after this news made round yesterday, actually went down to social media handles, specifically X, formerly known as Twitter. I perused through the opinions of so many Nigerians, and the bulk of Nigerians, or sections of Nigerians, were especially happy that India got the bid ahead of Nigeria. What could be the reason?
Of course, like we talked about this the other day, and we're asking ourselves, can Nigeria host the Commonwealth Games? Do we have what it takes, to host the Commonwealth Games? And looking at the fact that hosting these Commonwealth Games is always very expensive. Nigerians were not happy, with that decision or with that idea of bidding for the Commonwealth Games. All right, looking at the state of the country, you want to use the huge amount of money to go host the Commonwealth Games for what? How would the Commonwealth Games really impact the economy? Some persons were of the opinion, oh, it's going to boost the economy, foreigners will come in, there'll be a lot of business, going on and all of that. But for how long? What is the long-term goal in hosting the Commonwealth Games? That is what Nigerians, of course, were looking at this point in time. It's not what you do in the space of 1 month, 2 months. People come to lodge in hotel, businesses and all of that, and at the end of the day, it goes down. We're looking at how will hosting the Commonwealth Games affect the common man, on the streets. That is what Nigerians are after livelihood, after their welfare, how things, of course, are going to be better. Not taking that huge amount of money to host the Commonwealth Games that will not really impact, of course, Nigerians, as it stands. So if you take a look at it, Mike, I think that's the reason Nigerians were happy, looking at the fact that, we couldn't, of course, get the bid. I saw that story yesterday and I smiled. I was like, because I knew that it wasn't going to be that easy for me to host the Commonwealth Games, all right? I believe maybe the organizers might have looked at it. Yeah. What do these people have? Do they have what it takes? Maybe probably they might have gone through our history in hosting tournament. How were we able to manage it? We're talking about hosting National Sport Festival, National Youth Games, where it takes more than 1 week for we to see medals table. Is it the Commonwealth Games we are going to put, that? So take a look at all of these things. You ask yourself, do we really stand a chance of hosting the Commonwealth Games? So I think for me, Mike, it was a good decision for them to give it to India. At this point in time, let's take a look at what we can do to help ourselves. All right, not going to. I don't think this is the right time. We might talk about hosting the Commonwealth Games maybe after 5 years or thereabouts from now. Not at this point in time where we're in a very critical state. take a look at our sporting facilities today, as big as Nigeria, we can only boast of 2 standard stadiums in the country. What about other sporting facilities? How good are they? How is the sporting system? How is it faring in the country? So you take a look at all of these things and you ask yourself, is this the right step? Is this the right step in the right direction? Is it what we should do at this point in time? For me, I think it's really, really a wrong time. And I think for me, it was a good decision that India, of course, won the bid at the end of the day.
Mixed reactions from sections of Nigerians because Nigeria's bid and quest to host the 2030 Commonwealth Games has hit the rock as India has been favored ahead of Nigeria. But then we want to say big commendation for Nigeria in their attempt and the effort made so far. Of course, the organizer had to recognize their effort as well. Yeah. Or was that just a cook-up story just to make us feel happy?
No, for me, Mike, somehow, if you take a look, yes, it's good they appreciated us, for making an attempt, to host the Commonwealth Games at this point in time. But if you take a look at it, we somehow brought our leg outside, and it wasn't a good one. We bid to host it, and at the end of the day, it wasn't given to us. That's to tell you that, there are question marks, there are questions to be asked.
Yeah.
There are things that are not complete. There are things that we've not really gotten right. All right? That's why the bid was not given to us. If we're, complete in terms of our sporting system being that very much fantastic, sporting facilities top-notch, we have a good history when it comes to hosting competitions, definitely there would have been consideration. Nigeria would have been considered for this. But I think they've looked at us in and out. What do they have? What can they offer, at this point in time? Is it the right time to host the Commonwealth Games in Nigeria? So all of this has been checked. And at the end of the day, they came to conclusion, I believe, that this is not the right time for Nigeria to host the Commonwealth Games. And they have to take it to India, that at least, probably in a very good shape in hosting the competition. Yes, they have to commend you, for making an attempt. It is not easy.
Yeah.
When you take a look at the weight of hosting the Commonwealth Games, you still summon courage to host. At least they have to commend you for your courage. All right, it's not easy, and I think that's what they did, at the end of the day.
All right, thumbs up for Nigeria despite their failed bid to host the 2030 Commonwealth Game. Even the organizers are also giving the Nigerian thumbs up for the frantic effort. But I tell you, that effort wasn't good enough as India has been picked ahead of Nigeria. There's plan maybe on that way to, of course, have Nigeria the hosting right in 2034. We'll see how that will go. Away from that, Team Nigeria dominated at the 2025 Anoka Zone 3 Games, winning 2 gold medals in men's and women's double badminton event. In the men's double, Joseph Abel and Shehu Aliyu won every match in straight sets, defeating Togo 2-0 in the final. The women's duo of Dorcas Adesokan and Deborah Uchechukwu matched their success with a flawless 2-0 victory over Benin Republic in the final. Head coach Ismaila Mohammed commended the players' consistency and said the tournament offered a vital preparation for upcoming international qualifiers. Nigeria will next compete in the singles, mixed doubles, and the team event as the badminton competition continues. So impressive show for Team Nigeria. A great outing, but then I think this is more like a preparation and a beef up to the qualifiers.
Yeah, we look forward to see how this one goes. I think if you take a look at it, somehow the Badminton Federation, they've tried, of course, to live up to expectation. I think we just saw the Para Badminton Championship in Abia State. We saw how, of course, badminton players were able to perform. And this is now for the able-bodied athletes. And I think for me, we also look forward to see another impressive performance. And so far, so good. I think Ona Francis will be the Badminton Federation have been putting up a very, very impressive outing, and we just hope that this might just be another time where, of course, they go out there to shine.
All right, another time for Nigeria Badminton Federation to continue shining. I tell you, it's been one of the sporting federation in Nigeria that have been up and doing the last 2 years. I can tell you, it's been a positive, trajectory for them, competing at all levels, coming out, with a flying color, and they continue to showcase their strength even in the regional competition. Away from that, Nigeria's campaign at the 2025 ITTF Africa Championship suffered a major setback on Tuesday, as all 10 players in a single event were eliminated, ending the country's hope of reaching the quarterfinals for the first time in over a decade. Despite a strong start with a 9-over-9 progression from the opening rounds, the team faltered against a more tactically disciplined and a Central African opponent. Captain Olajide Omotayo and rising star Matthew Kuti were the only brightest spot early on, but both were later knocked out. Omotayo after a tense 4-3 loss to Cameroon Yane Patix. Youngsters like Aisha Rabiu and Sukurat Ayelagbegan showed a promise, but were outclassed by top-seeded Egyptians, while others, including Taiwo Mati and Ajoke Ojumo, also exited early. A disappointing outcome highlights Nigeria's declining dominance in African table tennis. Worsened by the absence of star player Haruna Quadri, the team now turns its focus to the mixed double event in hopes of salvaging pride and reasserting competitiveness. So the decline of Nigerian table tennis has been taken down to the continent of Africa. All 10 of our players were all hosted out of the competition. This shows that a lot need to be done by the Table Tennis Federation for we to bounce back to the place where we can be favorably competing, because it is embarrassing that out of 10 players, all, not just one remaining, all were knocked out of the single event. What do you make of the performance of the players?
Like, it's no longer news that table tennis in Nigeria is not functioning properly. All right, we all know, we've been talking about this for a very long time. And I think it's time for the federation. We've been clamoring and talking. I don't know what's usually the issue. It's time for the federation to step up and try to see how they can remedy this situation. In the past, just like we've always mentioned here, table tennis used to be one of the sports that Nigeria used to grab medals in any competition, or maybe come top to say, when we have the likes of even the Quadri Aruna, we'll talk about today, the likes of Funke or Shonaike and the likes of Teriola, who is now the coach, of course, of the federation at this point in time. We had good outing, but take a look at the generation we have now in table tennis, the likes of Olajide. We talk about Olajide Omotayo. We talk about a few of them. The Taiwo Kuti that are coming up. As it stands, how formidable are they? They've not really been that fantastic. That would tell you that there's a lot that needs to be done. What were they doing in the past, that they cannot bring it at this point in time, to see how they can also enhance the performance, of our players, as it stands. Whenever we go out for, continental, competitions like this, you always see the North Africans, dominating, when it has to do with table tennis. You go down to the global competition, you see the Asians, you see the Asians mostly, of course, putting up dominance. Japan, China, always coming up, of course, to dominate. And Nigeria, at some point, nowhere to be found. We find it difficult to get to the round of 16 or thereabouts. Aruna has been trying for some time now, and his best has not been good enough. He's the only person we can even rely on. And if the only person you can rely on is not even doing well, what then is of you at this point in time? So I think there really need to be, a revolution, or see how to bring back, the best, in our table tennis player. And I think the Table Tennis Federation have a lot of work to do. Is it to go back to the grassroots, look forward to see how they can also look for talent, that are very determined. And one thing about this is not just looking for talent, all right? You have to be in shape. You have to take care of this athlete, their welfare. The other day, Taiwo, was it Kuti? He came out to complain that, my welfare is not properly taken care of. I find it difficult to go to tournament because of money. I find it difficult to get, things I'm supposed to get as a tennis player, so that I keep myself in good shape. So how, these players are young. They've not been that popular or maybe gained that recognition to go to play in big tournaments, make money and all. They still need money to take themselves, of course, to the limelight. Not the likes of Aruna, maybe of younger them that have maybe been in the game for some time. At least those ones, they made a lot of money, for themselves. But these young ones coming, they are struggling. The federation are not even giving them that proper welfare. Even the other day, even Aruna himself came out to complain that the Table Tennis Federation, they are not even taking care of him, properly. His welfare, and all of that. So you see, all of these things, stand as hindrance for me not to put up our best, out there when we go for, competitions like this. Not when the North Africans are taking care of their own players, the Asians, and you're not taking care of them, and you expect them to give the best. So there's a whole lot. And I think the National Sport Commission should weigh into this and see how they can, of course, put things in the right going forward.
I tell you, not a good outing for Nigerian players in the world of tennis. Not a good performance. 10 players have been hosted out of the competition in a single event, and it doesn't speak good for a table tennis playing nation such as Nigeria. Even right here in Africa, we find it difficult to, of course, stamp our foot. And a lot of calls from the tennis federation to, of course, put their hands on the plow and see how to do great things so that at least we'll have massive improvement. There should be talent discovery. There should be talent hunt right from the grassroots level. What happens to regional and state competition for the underage? These are the way you get to catch them. Sometimes when we give some of these suggestions and advice, we do not intend to berate any federation, but then try to chart a course forward for the sports development of Nigeria, because if it is good for the federation, it will also be good for us as citizens, and we'll also get to enjoy that impressive image in the global scene when it has to do with sport. And this is our worry, and we'll keep calling on the administrators to do the needful so that at least Nigeria as a sporting nation can continue to gain that respect that we truly deserve. Still talking tennis on the show, British number 3, Katibota, was beaten 6-3, 6-1 by Romania's Sorana Sistan in the second round of the Japan Open. World number 59, Bota, who shocked world number 17, Linda Noskova, in the first round, lost in 1 hour, 9 minutes in Osaka. Elsewhere, Japan's Naomi Osaka had a medical timeout in her 7-6, 3-6, 6-2 win over defending champion Suzanne Lemens of Netherlands. Osaka was 5-0 up in the final set when she was treated, returning with a trapping around her neck, a tie before securing a quarterfinal meeting with Romania's Jacqueline Christine on Friday. All right, away from that to the world of UFC. Big name is in the news this morning because a former UFC welterweight champion, Kamaru Usman, has expressed his goal to become a two-weight UFC champion before retiring. The 37-year-old Nigerian, who recently defeated Jaquin Buckley, said his dream is to regain the welterweight title, vacate it, then capture the middleweight crown before ending his career. Usman's ambition mirrors Conor McGregor's 2016 double champion fifth, later matched by other fighters like Alex Pereira and Lia Topuria. The former pound-for-pound number 1 is eyeing a potential fight against the winner of Islam Makhachev versus Jack Della Maddalena, and remains one of the few to have seriously tested the current middleweight champion. So for Kamaru Usman, Kingsley is still dreaming big, even at the age of 37. Some have said, let him retire. Some have said, let him do a big fight before finally, bowing out of the ring. Which will you advise him? at 37, do you think that Kamaru Usman still have what it takes to meet up this set goal of his?
And at this point in time, I'm not Kamaru Usman. I'm not, of course, part of his team to really know, how good he is at this point in time, or his current form, or to know how energetic or how ready he is, of course, maybe to get back, to the ring, as his time. But for me, even at 37, if he thinks, of course, he can get the job done, just like he have mentioned, by putting up this, fit, just he has outlined for himself, I think, yes, you should go ahead. If you believe in yourself, if you know that, of course, you can get the job done, you can achieve whatever you set, of course, to achieve, why don't you go in, of course, and achieve it? For me, I won't say he should retire at this point in time. I think he knows himself and he knows what is at stake, of course, for him. It's not good for him to come back and then being beaten mercilessly. That would be a very, very huge dent, of course, to his career. So I believe, he should look forward, he should look at himself properly and, of course, have that confidence and conviction that, of course, if I bounce back, yes, I'm going to achieve all of this. And then for me, I don't see anything stopping him. So if he have that confidence, I believe that, I just, for him to come out and, of course, do what he knows how to do best. Just like, his brother talking about Israel Adesanya that have been out of the scene, for some time. We never can tell what's really the situation, how is he preparing for his comeback, or know that Israel Adesanya has actually gone through a lot. He was actually being beaten mercilessly the last time, and I think maybe he's also looking for a way to bounce back. So when you take a look at it, for Kamaru, I just believe that if he feels that coming back, of course, he'll be able to achieve all of this, I think he should go ahead with it.
Go ahead with it if you think that you have what it takes to fulfill all this big dream and ambition for Kamaru Usman. Wait to see what happens as the day go by. But then let's head straight to the world of Formula One this morning, because we can tell you that Mercedes boss Toto Wolff confirmed that George Russell and Kimi Antonelli will remain with the team for 2026, saying the decision was a matter of when, not if. However, earlier in the season, uncertainty surrounded the lineup door to Wolff's strong interest in signing Max Verstappen, despite publicly claiming at the Australian Grand Prix that Verstappen wasn't on their radar. Wolff had held talks with a Dutch driver both last year and again this season. Russell, who was enjoying an impressive season and outperforming rookie teammate Antonelli, addressed the speculation at the Australian Grand Prix, saying he had no concern as long as he performs well. The rumor finally ended at the Hungarian Grand Prix when Max Verstappen dismissed the speculation, confirming his commitment elsewhere. So there is no thought by the Toto Wolff to let Antonelli and the second driver leave, because there was some speculation that they are eyeing the Red Bull driver, talking about Max Verstappen. Do you see them going for Max Verstappen in the future? You think that they have placed a total confidence on their two drivers?
For me, I think it's left for Mercedes at this point in time. Would Max Verstappen want to leave Red Bull at this point in time to come down to Mercedes? This is a team that, of course, he was seriously against, especially when Lewis Hamilton, of course, was there, and all of that. But it's sports, anything can happen. If the deal is okay, if it's good for the man, he can possibly, of course, switch, at this point in time. So if you take a look at it, the Mercedes, is it a good time for even Max Verstappen to go in there, taking a look at, how poorly they've been performing, as his time. So all of these indices probably will be put in place by the man himself, talking about Max Verstappen, before he actually, takes up his decision. For Mercedes, I just feel that they should improve themselves, improve their car, and as well, look forward to see how to make sure that their drivers, of course, put up a very impressive performance. Understand, yes, they don't want to let drivers, leave at this point in time. Maybe they have a plan, in the future and all of that. So we just keep our fingers crossed, and see what, comes up for this Mercedes. George Russell, of course, has been the key driver. He's been trying most of his kind to see how to, take Mercedes to that limelight once again. But George Russell, how experienced? Yes, he's an experienced driver, but does he have what it takes? Does he have what it takes to compete with the very best? The Max Verstappen we're talking about, even the likes, the guys from McLaren, Lando Norris that are pushing up, so high at this point in time. I don't really think so at this point. So whatever Mercedes can do to bring themselves, back, to contention, is it bringing Max Verstappen or whatever? I think the best, they know what is good for them at this point. So we'll just keep our fingers crossed and see how everything unfolds.
All right, we'll wait to see how everything unfolds. But at this point, let's take a quick break. When we are back in the second half, we'll take you through the world of football. Don't go anywhere. welcome back from that short break. We told you that Nigeria's bid to host the 2030 Commonwealth Game has been dashed as India has been, nominated or picked ahead of Nigeria. We also told you that in the world of tennis, 10 Nigerian representatives have crashed out of a table tennis, that is the ITTF championship, in the single event. We also told you that Kamaru Usman hopes to, of course, bounce back to winning ways and win 2 more titles before finally calling it a quit. And in the world of tennis, some players at the ongoing Japan Open has been hosted out of the competition. Well, let's talk football on the show this morning, because Rivers United departed Nigeria yesterday and will, of course, arrive in Maputo, Mozambique, today ahead of their CAF Champions League second round first leg clash against Black Bulls on Saturday, October 18th at the Campo de ABB Stadium. The return leg is set for October 25th at the Godzilla Pavio International Stadium in Uyo. The aggregate winner will advance to the group stage of the competition. Namibia's Nigongo Wetshimana will officiate the first leg, supported by his compatriot, while Suleiman Othman of Zanzibar serves as a match of commissioner. Rivers United Nigeria remains the CAF Champions League representative, aim to secure a strong away result to boost their qualification hope. So Kingsley, Rivers United departed the shores yesterday ahead of their tie against Red Bull. With what you've seen of Rivers United, do you see them going far in this CAF Champions League? They lost their last Nigerian Premier Football League back home here at home before departing for this CAF Champions League. Do you think that that result will in any way affect their, psychology?
Maybe it's mine, but I talked about this, was it yesterday or something, like I said, they should be able to develop a new mentality, heading to this particular, whatever happened in the league, shouldn't actually wear them down. They should try most of the kind, of course, to be able, of course, to look out for means, to get a favorable result away from home. This time around, when you take a look at the fact that it's been difficult for Nigerian teams in the CAF Champions League, we look forward for a team at this point in time that will create a difference. Rivers United, I think they're up to the task in making sure that, of course, they get the job done. So far, so good. It hasn't been that bad for them, except again they lost against Bayelsa United, and we understand how rigorous, of course, that game was. Game has to be postponed and played, of course, the next day. Somehow that kind of arrangements could have a way of affecting a team as it stands. So for me, heading down to this one, I just hope that they will be able to summon courage and as well put up a new mentality, and knowing that this is a different competition entirely, and they really have to do well. They have no other option than to make sure, of course, they put up a very impressive performance. A draw away from home, this weekend will be a good result, for them. Then coming back home and get the job done. So for me, talking about if they can go far, I believe they can, only if, of course, they also believe in themselves and know that they can also put up a history once again for themselves. So far, so good. In the last 3 years, Rivers United has been the only Nigerian team that have made the back-to-back quarterfinal stage for the CAF Confederation Cup, and I believe this time around in the CAF Champions League, they can also see how to take themselves to that level. The last time a Nigerian team won the CAF Champions League was far back 2003-2004, where Imba, of course, were able to lay their hands on them. Since then, no other Nigerian team has been able to put up that gesture. So Rivers United can make a difference for themselves. Finidi George know what is at stake. I think he also, take a look at the way Nigeria see him, and all of that. I think it's time, of course, he also puts, things straight by letting Nigerians know that, of course, he's a very fantastic manager. No matter what has happened, it is time that the Super Eagles of Nigeria, if he goes ahead, win the league once again with Rivers United, maybe getting to the finals of for the CAF Champions League, I tell you, his pedigree will grow, and Nigerians, of course, will accord him that respect the more. So a lot of things are at stake at this point in time, and I just hope that Rivers United will be able to put themselves on that ground to get the job done.
Hope that Rivers United can be able to get a job done. Meanwhile, in the evening, we'll do it to reach out to their media officer, talking about Mr. Charles Mayuku. If they are not in training by that time, we'll do it to bring him via Zoom so that at least he can give us a more incisive stories regarding the camp of the Rivers United far away in Maputo as we speak. But then let's talk about the Nigerian Premier Football League, because Rabiu Tata has been appointed as the interim technical advisor of Nigerian Premier Football League side, Barao FC. He takes up the new role following the departure of Ladan Boso, who has stepped aside due to family reasons. Boso took charge of the Malia boys at the start of the season. As a Barao FC have enjoyed a poor start to their maiden campaign in the Nigerian Premier Football League. The Kano-based club have recorded 1 win in 8 matches. They will entertain Kano Pillars in a local derby at the Sani Abacha Stadium on Sunday. But I can tell you that match will not be played at the Sani Abacha Stadium because Kano Pillar has been banished courtesy of their crowd trouble in match day 8. So for Barao FC, they've appointed Tata Kingsley as Ladan Boso, an experienced coach, decided to step down. After 8 games, just 1 win. Do you think that this might be the real reason why Ladan Boso departed, or you think that we should take him for his word as a result of family issues?
I think that could be the reason, because if you take a look at the way Nigerian teams are going now, when you don't get a good result in the next 5 or 6 games, it will bring up an issue. Oh, this coach has been suspended, or maybe this has happened, and that's why the coach, of course, is not on the touch line, for the team. I think it could be as a result of poor performance. And Ladan Boso, for me, I think if you take a look at it, yes, he's a very good tactician, but I think he has lost his touch from what we're seeing in the last 2-3 years or thereabouts. We've not seen Ladan Boso doing anything incredible with any team. He was in Bayelsa United, where of course he left them without proper notice, ran to Barrow FC, and now they are struggling. And this is where he finds himself at this point in time. So, to try and move to put up that, professionalism in anything you do at some point. So, for Barrow FC to appoint, that's the word they use, appoints Tata. And that should tell you that maybe Ladan Boso might not return because they have a new coach at this point in time. So what is he coming back to do? What is he going to come back as? To see, is he coming back as the main coach or whatever? So that is what we don't really understand at this point in time. Maybe these clubs that are trying not to tarnish or maybe dent the image of these coaches. Oh, Ladan Boso was sacked, at Barrow FC and all of that. Is probably not a good one for a caliber of coach like Ladan Boso, as it stands. So for me, I think that could be the reason. Poor performance could be the reason why the man has been sidelined, at this point in time. For Barrow FC, of course, they're a new side. They want to stake a claim in the NPFL. This is their first season in the Nigerian Premier Football League. So they want to get the job done, by all means. Not that I think at this point they're not even looking at winning the league or qualifying for the continent. They just want to remain, in the NPFL, and of course continue to impress the owner of the side.
All right, to see how all of this will go at the end of the day. But then Nigeria's under-17 women's team, the Flamingos, concluded their World Cup preparation with a 3-2 win over Paraguay in Casablanca on Tuesday. Mariam Yahaya was the star performer, scoring a hat-trick to secure victory after Paraguay has briefly equalized. The Flamingos dominated much of the game, creating several chances and holding off a late Paraguayan goal to maintain their lead. The win marks Nigeria's 12th friendly matches, bringing their total tally to 50 goals scored and 6 conceded under coach Bankole Oluwokere. This is an impressive figure. A goal scored and goal conceded, 50 against 6. Very formidable. The attack is very sharp, defense solid. Do you see with this level of preparation so far, can the under-17 go to the World Cup and possibly bring it home?
Yes, I think they can. If you take a look at how they prepared, just like you mentioned, 50 goals scored, just 6 conceded. That's to tell you that, they've been in a very good shape. So for me, I think they're ready, to go for the competition. We understand they'll be locking us against France. You talk about Sommet and the likes of, Canada down there. So I think they have what it takes. The only team for me that could possibly give them a little bit of challenge there could be France. And I just hope that, with what they've done on ground, the level of preparation so far, they will go out there, of course, and be able to get the job done. So far, so good. I think if you take a look at the under-17 girls, they've been very fantastic for some time. So I just hope that they will continue with that momentum and try to see how they can, of course, get the job done this time around.
12 friendly games played, 50 goals scored, 6 conceded, formidable in attack, resilience in defense. We hope that they can take this form down to the Under-17 World Cup and see how to, of course, make a record for themselves. Away from that, let's talk about the Under-20 World Cup currently ongoing in Chile, because Morocco advanced to the FIFA Under-20 World Cup final after defeating France 6-5 on penalties, following a tense 1-all draw that lasted over 120 minutes at the Elias Figueira Brand Stadium. In that very particular account, Morocco initially led in the 32nd minute through penalty by Yassi Zabiri, which deflected off a French defender for an own goal. Lucas Michel equalized for France in the 59th minute. Despite France being reduced to 10 men during extra time, neither side could find a winner in the penalty shootout. Morocco converted all 6 of their spot kicks, sealing a historic victory and a place in the final, where they will now face either Colombia or Argentina. France will contest the 3rd place playoff as well. So Morocco, they continue to do Africa proud, Kingsley. It is no gainsaying that Morocco, sports plan and their strategy is gradually yielding results, especially in football. Talk about their last Women World Cup outing, their first time of heading to the World Cup. They got to the round of 16, contrary to Nigeria that have never missed any of the World Cup, and we have not passed such round. Talk about the CHAN, they did great. You talk about the Women African Cup of Nations, they got to the final where they lost to the Super Falcons. Now Under-20, they are doing exploit, getting to the final against a very strong team such as France. They find their way to the final. One of the first countries as well to qualify for the World Cup. Taking a look at how progressively they are developing in football, do you see Morocco maybe, just maybe, reaching the World Cup final, the senior level, anytime soon?
Before you even take a look at that, let me commend the Under-20 boys. I think they've done so well. I'm really impressed with their performance so far. In this competition, they've beaten the heavyweights, the likes of Brazil, and now they just hosted out France, it's a stand. So you want to give it up to them that they have what it takes. So we've been talking about Morocco having a good foundation when it has to do with sport development, especially football. The other day, they have a 10-year football development plan. We'll talk about stats, and then, you can see that is gradually, yielding fruits, for them, as it stands. So you can't take it away from them. When you are intentional about something, of course, you definitely will get that thing, no matter how difficult, it is. And that's what Morocco, of course, they've done. Take a look at it. I think they're preparing for the 2030 World Cup, where they will also be, I think, co-host, of that particular one. The stadiums are already ready. I told you the other day that they have to bring, foreign experts, to come train their local coaches to see what they could do. The last time Morocco went to the semi-final of the World Cup, it was a home-based coach that took them there. So you could see that they are, really, really utilizing the homemade products and not looking at those guys out there, and all of that. So you must have a bedrock. You must have a system that works. That's why when I take a look at the Super Eagles of Nigeria, you take a look at the fact that they don't have that pattern. You could say this is Super Eagles of Nigeria, this is their identity or whatever. You cannot see it. So you see now that this even on this on the Morocco under 20 boys, they will graduate from this level now maybe to the senior team, and they will still play that same pattern of football. And at the end of the day, how do you expect them not to perform very well? They would definitely, of course, do well in any competition they find themselves. So there must be a system, just like we've seen in South Africa, just like Brazil is. Every Brazilian player knows what is at stake in the national team. They know what to do. They know the pattern, and all of that. But when it comes to the Super Eagles of Nigeria, we don't have that identity. We just assemble ourselves. Oh, let's go. We have good players, at the end of the day. But what do we have to present on the pitch of play? That is the big question, as it stands. So for me, good one for Morocco. Can they get to the finals or for the World Cup come next year? I think it's very, very possible. If they've actually been that fantastic, being one of, I think, the first team to even qualify for the World Cup, as it stands, I think Morocco are really much ready. So let's just see what comes up. I can't just say they will get to the final. Let's see how the World Cup, of course, will pan out for them.
Which lesson should Nigeria take from what Morocco is
A
doing?
very big lesson at this point in time. Lesson of being focused. Lesson of being focused. Assistant when it has to do with sports, development. All right, you have to be intentional. Morocco, they were intentional about, okay, we want to develop football. They put up a 10-year plan of football development. What do? Let's get foreign experts to come train our coaches. Let's put up a fantastic sporting facilities. Let's put our stadiums in order. Let's put up our sporting facilities in order, so that when we train these people, they will of course see have to continue to train themselves with the best of sporting facilities in the country. So for me, intentionality is key at this point in time. You have to be intentional. When was it Eno or the former sport minister was around? There was a proposal or whatever. They said they brought a 10-year sports development plan in the country. How has we been? What have we done to maybe actualize that? In what sector? In what sporting federation or whatever? Have we been able to have that, of course, been looked into? So that is the question. We're not intentional in this part of the world. If we say we want to do something, you see this one, and you see so many things going just like that without any direction. So for me, I think if we have to develop ourselves, we have to be intentional about development, not just talking or writing things on paper, and at the end of the day, you never, fulfill it or try to make sure you actualize it at the end of the day. So for me, a lot of lessons for Nigeria to learn. At this point in time, other African countries are leaving us behind. But tomorrow, we'll still call ourselves Giant of Africa. I don't think we're really Giant of Africa.
Nigeria need to brace up and get back to the giant status quo that we were, because I can tell you for sure that for now, that giant status quo in the world of sport is being threatened and questionable as it stands, because you take a look at our football, right from the youth level where we used to have, strength, is going down. The under-17 boys, we failed to qualify for the under-17 World Cup. All right, under-23, we are not going to the Olympic. Under-20, Chan, we were disgraced out of the competition. These are issues. World Cup, we are struggling to qualify. All right, so I think that status of a giant in Africa, especially in the world of sport, is gradually going down, and time for we to rekindle that spirit and borrow a leaf from what Morocco is doing. Let's be intentional, do the right thing. Let's have a roadmap, a plan, say 8 or 10 years plan on how to take our sports forward. And I tell you, we'll definitely reap the benefits of that long-term planning with deliberate attempts towards, bettering our sporting facilities, because Morocco has left us behind. They have left us behind. All right, away from that, let's talk about Nigerian football, because the Super Eagles is set to face Gabon in the World Cup playoff, and that is set to take place in Morocco from November 13 to 16. Other semi-final, we see Cameroon play host to DR Congo as well in one-legged match that we see the winner, of course, advance to the continental playoff. Kingsley, the dream and the hope, the aspiration of the Super Eagles to head to the World Cup was revived when we won 4-0 against Benin Republic. That is just the first hurdle. The second hurdle is the African playoff, and we'll be playing Gabon. If you take a look at Gabon vis-a-vis Nigeria, do you see us at all qualifying for this third hurdle, which is continental playoff? We have Cameroon. When we are done with Gabon, they need to also play the winner between Cameroon and, of course, DR Congo. Taking a look at this process, can we still keep our hope alive?
Yeah, definitely. That's the thing. The only thing you can do in life, keep your hope, alive, at this point in time, and that's what the Super Eagles of Nigeria, should do. Gabon, yes, they're a little bit of footballing nation to say, but I think Super Eagles of Nigeria, they have what it takes, to challenge them. They have what it takes to be able to put up a very good performance, against Gabon. And for me, I'm looking forward to see the Super Eagles beating Gabon, and of course, be able to get the job done and qualify from the continental playoff. If you take a look at all of the 4 teams there, I think Super Eagles probably, were ranked than the 3 teams there. And talk about the qualities of players we have. They have more players of high value than these other teams. So we have everything at stake, for us to be able to get the job done. It's only just for the boys to give their best, just like we saw against Benin Republic. Give your very best, knowing that this is a crucial game for you. Not just come and play anyhow. We have to be intentional, about this qualification. That's the only thing, of course, that will, of course, get us through at the end of the day.
All right, at this point, this is where we are going to drop the anchor for this morning edition of the show. When we return in the evening, we'll take you through the rest of the footballing stories, because we've run out of time this morning. And it is a very loaded menu for you this morning, but then time is always a constraining factor. Like I said, join us in the evening, 6 to 7 p.m. when we make a return. I did a show this morning alongside Kingsley Emmanuel. My name is Emmanuel Mike, and we're saying have a nice day ahead.